I'm 9 years late, but X-Men film continuity be damned. All right, we're here to talk about X-Men First Class, the film that started the new prequel reboot of the X-Men franchise. Basically, the film centers around Magneto and Professor X's origins, how they grew up and came to be. So with Magneto, it starts off in 1944 Poland during the Holocaust. The opening sequence is similar to the original X-Men from 2000, where, Magneto's being dragged away from his parents, and then, he reaches out towards the gate, and the gate starts bending because he's realizing that now he has these powers. But it goes into expanding that in greater detail, and so you're introduced to the villain, Sebastian Shaw, played by Kevin Bacon, of all people. I thought he was awesome, and he pretty much killed it. The movie is set up where, obviously these are the two main characters, but you see different perspectives of what they're going through, and it really helps you better understand where these two characters are coming from and how different they are, eventually culminating to them meeting each other. Charles being played by James McAvoy, Eric being played by Michael Fassbender. It was crazy to me when I first saw the film, when it first came out in 2011, that anybody else other than Patrick Stewart and Ian McKellen could play Professor X and Magneto. But you watch this film and how they act and everything, and it's like, obviously they're younger versions of those characters, but holy shit, they really nailed that whole dynamic between the two, and there's this great respect and accuracy to the characters, as well as to the legacy of the character in the films, as well as just the fact that James McAvoy and Michael Fassbender are great actors. I think honestly Michael Fassbender steals the show. He's the best character in the film, and all of his scenes are great. That's not to say that James McAvoy isn't great. He's awesome. He does a great Charles Xavier. He gives his own flavor to it, but while still hearkening back to the Patrick Stewart Xavier and all that. You learn more about their friendship and how that builds. They become really good buddies throughout this short period of time, and then you really see how far they have come and how different these two characters really are. They consider themselves best friends, but by the end, it's almost like they're just torn away from each other due to all these crazy circumstances. Magneto will always be Magneto. Charles Xavier will always be Charles Xavier. They both have their faults. They both have such great things about them. And it's kind of crazy too, because you watch, especially Magneto's story play out, his whole arc play out, and you're really rooting for the guy. The film does such a great job getting you inside his head and understanding where he's coming from. And it's so cool to see him also kind of be this dark James Bond, especially towards the beginning portions of the film. He's going out getting revenge and doing all this shit to kill these Nazi officers to get to Shaw and stuff like that. But then along the way, he meets Xavier, and Xavier's revenge is never all that sweet. Work with me and I'll help you achieve your goal, but there's always a better way. Like I said before, Sebastian Shaw is played by Kevin Bacon. I think he's a really good villain, but the only flaw I see is kind of sort of he's just kind of evil just to be evil, but it serves the way everything plays out. It would have been nice to have seen more motivation as to why he's doing what he's doing, why he wants to initiate all this crazy stuff. But overall, Kevin Bacon was awesome in the film. Props to him, and to even be involved in this kind of franchise. The original Footloose in an X-Men film, who would have thought? I'm pretty sure the marketing for the film didn't even touch on him anyway. Jennifer Lawrence is also in the film. She's played by Mystique. She does a really good job with that role. I think she's a really good Mystique. It's kind of weird though when you think about everything that came before and then you watch this film, because it's wait a minute, Charles and Mystique are now childhood friends, but that's never been mentioned before in the other films. So it's what's going on here? The roster includes Mystique, Hank McCoy, aka Beast, Havoc, which is Cyclops' older brother. Angel, not to be confused with the actual Angel that has wings. It's a different Angel, some lady with insect wings and can shoot acid. Another guy named Darwin, who can pretty much adapt to anything. And Banshee. So you have some classic characters and then not so classic characters. A lot of the villains just kind of get their lines and stuff, but they don't really go into them too much. I'm a big fan of Azazel. He is awesome. All of his scenes are really, really, really cool. cool. I just wish there was more to him than just those cool scenes. So the whole thing takes place in the 60s, and it basically centers around Charles and Eric meeting each other and then recruiting other mutants to support a cause to take down Sebastian Shaw. With everything going on with Sebastian Shaw, he's basically trying to start World War III. Of course, the X-Men catch wind of this, and they have to go stop it, all culminating with a kind of sort of rewritten history of the Cuban Missile Crisis. Well, I thought that was a really cool, like, surprising way to take the X-Men franchise. It's like, oh, let's put the X-Men in these historical events, keep history aligned, but what if mutants were also involved in that? And yeah, I don't really want to get too much into it in case anybody's super interested in watching the film. Although it's been 9 years, like, what are you waiting for? The film is directed by Matthew Vaughn of Kick-Ass and Kingsman fame. He really, like, you really feel his style, the direction. It's such a breath of fresh air, considering, like, the last film before this was X-Men Origins Wolverine, of all the things. So 2 years later, X-Men First Class comes out, and Matthew Vaughn is the director. Bryan Singer is still involved in some way, shape, or form. I believe he's a producer and has a possible writing or story credit. The whole movie, it's just pretty much Matthew Vaughn's flavor injected into it. It never feels like it drags on. Everything flows nicely. It's like a really good X-Men film, which is tough to come by, it seems, these days. Moving along to the music, the score is by Henry Jackman. Right from the get-go, especially when Magneto is introduced, his theme and everything, it's just so awesome. It's such a completely different thing that you would expect from an X-Men film from the early 2010s. It's crazy saying that now in 2020. But he nails the score, and it's like one of the best themes of the X-Men franchise. It's almost like this weird, like, throwback kind of revenge guitar riff sort of thing, and it just sounds really great. If you're looking for comic book accuracy, for the most part with these characters, it's fine, but the plot and interactions and stuff, it's just off the rails. Whatever continuity the previous X-Men films had, it's out the window. Whatever continuity there was in the comics, it's out the window. The Fox X-Men films just kind of do their own thing with these characters. It's to a varying degree depending on the film. I think overall, X-Men First Class is great. How great, your mileage may vary. I think it's fucking stellar X-Men film. I personally would probably give it 9 out of 10 pancakes. It is full-blown diabetes. And you can quote me on that. Oh, hey. How are you? Did you know that I have a Twitch channel? It's twitch.tv/Saint Aldo. Check it out because I told you to.
You want to see the keyhole? You want to see the keyhole? Give me 1 second. Where are you? Where is that thing? There you are. That's the keyhole.
So tell me what you think of X-Men First Class. Do you love it? Do you hate it? Are you somewhere in between? Let me know in the comments. I want to know. I want to have discussions with everybody about films and games and all this stuff. So if you liked what you've seen here today, give the video a like. If you want to see more, subscribe. Okay, I love you. Bye-bye.